The first movie we'll do is the oldest movie, which is The Thing, directed by John Carpenter. And this movie was chosen by Mr. Nintendo 83. All right, so the first thing we're going to do, guys, is I'm going to read the basic summary of the movie, talk a little bit about the actors that are in it, maybe the director. And then after that, we'll watch a little clip that the person who chose the movie, they chose a clip, a favorite part of the movie that they liked. And we'll kind of, just to give the audience, if they've never seen the movie, a little bit of a preview of what the movie is like based on the clip. So starting with The Thing, directed by John Carpenter, one of my favorite directors, by the way. In remote Antarctica, a group of American research scientists are disturbed at their base camp by a helicopter shooting at a sled dog. When they take in the dog, it brutally attacks both human beings and canines in the camp, and they discover that the beast can assume the shape of its victims. The resourceful helicopter pilot, Kurt Russell, one of my favorite actors, and the camp doctor, Richard Desart, I guess that's his name, I don't know how to pronounce his last name, led the camp crew in a desperate, gory battle against a vicious creature before it picks them off one by one. And again, Kurt Russell is the star in the movie. He's played in some of my favorite movies like Big Trouble in Little China, Stargate. Some of the new movies he's in was, I think, the second Guardians of the Galaxy movie. He plays Ego, or Star-Lord's father. He plays in a lot of Quentin Tarantino movies. He's a good actor. He's a good, well-rounded actor. I always wanted to see him as Captain America when he was younger, but, they didn't make the Avengers movie until, 2012? He's an old man by then.
In hindsight, his son did get to play American Agent. So
That's right. His son played American Agent, right? Some of the other actors, they don't have, what's his name? Keith David? Is that his name?
Keith David is in there.
Yeah, he's in there. This guy here, T.K. Carter, he was in a lot of stuff in the 80s. This black guy here. But overall, man, that's the summary. So we're going to move on to the clip. This is the clip that Rotundo 83 chose here. So we're all going to watch this here. Make sure my audio's up here. I'm going to pause it and restart it here. Make sure my audio up. Oh, got it. Audio here. Rewind. And play. You guys hear it?
Yep.
So, sweethearts are about to have yourselves a little lynching party, huh? No, I just have to put an end to you on general principles, Knowles. Ever occur to the jury that anybody could have got some of my clothes and stuck them up the furnace?
We ain't buying that.
Quit that bickering over there. Windows, wheel that defibrillator over here. Put some grease on those panels.
You're gonna have to sleep sometime, McCready.
Oh, a real light sleeper, child. Anyone tries to wake me.
Clear! Clear!
Clear.
Hey, can y'all hear me?
Yeah, welcome in, John.
I don't know.
Gotta be
There's no
fucking
way to hear my
Yo,
voice.
John. John,
It's
John, we
like,
keep, John, we're watching the clip. What's up?
watch the clip we talking about.
We started the podcast, man. You interrupted. We're watching the clip.
Oh, I didn't know it already started. My bad.
Yeah, just jump on in. We're watching the clip. Jump on in.
What are we watching the clip of? Oh, the
The
thing.
thing. Yeah. Are you gonna share your camera?
Oh, Bim. Oh,
You got the lotion away from Zoe.
I trapped her in her room, so yeah. My screen is all busted up. There we go. There we go. Yeah, I trapped her in her room, so hopefully that'll keep her entertained for at least a few hours.
Oh, okay. Are you sure? Is she okay? You got Jeremiah or anybody is not there to like look after him?
Yeah, the boys are here, but she should be fine in there. I can see
Oh,
her on. I can see her on the baby monitor.
okay, cool. So yeah, and there's somebody else there just in case. All right, cool. All right.
And if you have to run out, you gotta run out, man. Let that baby drink lotion again.
I know, right?
Take your child, man.
Listen here. After what I just had to clean up, I'd rather take the lotion than that mess that she just made. Because
Oh, word. I know how it
Christ's
is, bro.
sakes.
I know how it is.
Hey, let's not talk about that. I just ate a cough drop.
All right.
You said what?
Just ate a cough drop. Don't tell us what she did.
But John, just to recap, we were watching the clip of the thing. This is the clip that Demetrius. This is the movie that Demetrius chose. He chose a favorite clip from the movie, and it's the clip. Remember where the guy was doing the defibrillator thing on the man's body? Because
Oh yeah, yeah.
and then like his hands punched through his stomach and the
Bunch
mouth
of-
thing.
yeah.
That's pretty much what we just watched. But so I'm
Oh
gonna
yeah, classic '80s.
So I'm gonna continue
Yes.
playing it.
Well, the crazy thing about this scene.
Wait, hold on, wait.
that,
We're gonna let it. We'll talk about it. Let's finish it. Finish it up.
I'm along.
All right, guys. That was the clip that Demetrius chose just to give the audience, if you've never seen the movie and if you haven't seen the thing. Now, is there some not some there's some Gen Z people watching this? You probably haven't seen it, because you guys' taste is horrible. But now you get to see what you're missing. This wasn't CG generated. This is practical effects here. Okay. But anyway, I'm gonna move on to the next part. The next part is I'm going to read the critical reception, like how the movie was received when it first came out. Now, this is probably going to be the most reading that I do this entire podcast because it's just that interesting how this movie was received when it came out. And I think it's worth reading really quick. All right, so the film received negative reviews on its release and hostility for its cynical, anti-authoritarian tone and graphic special effects. Some reviewers were dismissive of the film, calling it the quintessential moron movie of the 80s, instant junk, and a wretched excess. Starlog's Alan Spencer called it a cold and sterile horror movie attempting to cash in on the genre audience against the optimism of E.T., the reassuring return of the Star Trek II, the technical perfection of Tron, and the sheer integrity of Blade Runner. The plot was criticized as boring and undermined by the special effects. The Los Angeles Times' Linda Gross said the thing was bereft, despairing, and nihilistic, and lacking in feeling, meaning the characters' deaths did not matter. Spencer said it featured sloppy continuity, lacked pacing, and was devoid of warmth of humanity. David Anson of Newsweek felt the film confused the use of effects with creating suspense, that it lacked drama by sacrificing everything for the altar of gore. The Chicago Reader's Dave Kerr considered the dialogue to be banal and interchangeable, making the characters seem like making the characters seem and sound alike. The Washington Post, Gary Arnold said it was a witty touch to open with, the Thing having already overcome the Norwegian base, defeating the type of trap seen in the 1951 version. With New York's David Denby lamented that the Thing's threat is shown only externally, without focusing on what it is like for someone who thinks they have been taken over. Now, I have to mention Roger Ebert. Roger Ebert, for some reason, most of his reviews and critiques, I usually disagree with. Like, this guy has, like, he'll like some really boring movie, but he won't like something really interesting. But anyway, Roger Ebert considered the film to be scary, but offering nothing original beyond special effects, while the New York Times' Vincent Canby said it was entertaining only if the viewer needed to see spider leg heads and dog autopsies. Now, I'm going to contrast that with the second part of the reception. This is the only movie that's going to have two parts of the critical reception. Critical reassessment. In the years following its release, critics and fans have reevaluated The Thing as a milestone of the horror genre. A prescient review by the Peter Nichols in 1992 called The Thing the black, memorable film that may yet be seen as a classic. It has been called one of the best films directed by Carpenter. John Kenneth Muir called it Carpenter's most accomplished and underrated directorial effort. And critic Matt Zoller-Seitz, I guess his name, said it is one of the greatest and most elegantly constructed B-movies ever made. Trace Thurman described it as one of the best films ever. And in 2008, Empire Magazine selected it as one of the 500 greatest movies of all time. Now, I'm not going to go to read the rest of it, because all the rest of them say pretty much something similar. But I wanted to point out that, and I read up a little bit on this, that sometimes a movie can just have bad timing, right? And when I read that this movie came out during a recession in the 80s, so it's bleak, kind of like bleak overtone, didn't really vibe with critics, right? Or I'm assuming the audience, because I don't think it did that well at the box office either, right? And in fact, it almost ruined John Carpenter's career. You know what I'm saying? Because he was supposed to direct the Firestarter movie, the Stephen King movie, and because this movie did so terrible, they kicked him out of that position and they got somebody else to direct that movie. And imagine a John Carpenter directed Firestarter. I mean, that would have been awesome. But anyway, point is that even John Carpenter, he said, I'm thinking back on it, he was like, sometimes movies are too much. And he was like, this movie was just too much for its time. You know what I'm saying? He didn't think it would be too much. It was just too much for its time. Because I remember watching this the first time when I was a kid, and I was like, instantly, I was like, this is genius. I don't think the audience got it. Like, again, they were so used to E.T., extraterrestrial. I don't think they got the Lovecraftian nihilism that was, on display in this movie. And I think that's it. So yeah, that's it, guys. I want to get everybody else's opinion on the movie, and then we'll go to our rating system, starting with you, Mutundo83, since this is your pick.
So the reason why I chose this clip is practical effects. Nice. The scene where I love the scene so much is, of course, the more you love a movie, you want to know more about how the production was made. And when the doctor is going with the defibrillator the last time, and the creature bites his arms off, you barely notice it, but they used a real amputee to be flailing around.
Yeah, double amputee.
That was a real amputee there. And the other scene where the creature is his head is separating from the body, like I forgot what type of connections they used, but they had Kurt Russell and Keith David saying like the stuff smelled so bad that the gagging and them running out of the room, that was real.
Oh, wow.
So nowadays with CGI, you can't do that. What do you put in place of something that's really there in the room with you? Mm-hmm. Like that's real. That's not all acting. That's a human reaction to something that's really bad in the room. Like you said, Kurt Russell's he's been a great actor since we all were young. I can't think of any movie that I was like, this movie's just trash with Kurt Russell in it. Keith David, probably my favorite black actor of all time. Like, how many things has he been in and unappreciated? If I had to put another movie on here for underrated, I put Dead Presidents, because he's my favorite character in that movie. So the acting was on point. the the fear and suspense was on point, right? And like you said, when you were a little kid, like you see that, like, oh shit, what is this? And it's always one of those movies I catch in the middle of it, and no matter what point in the movie it is, I have to watch it to the end, even though I know exactly what's going to happen. Now, the one thing I hate about it being so underrated and then praised, I read today that they're doing a remake of it, and I'm like, why? Why are they
Well,
doing a remake?
they did a prequel, right? I think in 2011.
2011, but you remember how bad the CG. We've all seen the prequel on the
I
sequel, right?
I
Or the
actually haven't.
prequel, right?
I actually haven't seen it.
All right. So Brian, I'm not going to spoil it to you, but if you get a chance to watch it later this week or tonight even, you'll see the CGI is
Yeah, they
so
use CGI.
bad in one scene. It's so like you're like, what is this? And don't get me wrong, like I love the fact that they're expanding the story, but just like the last podcast I was on with the AI, like it's just lazy. Like and it just didn't put the same effort or love into the scene. That's why I miss the '80s so much, even though we were all small children at the time. The love and dedication to making product that people will appreciate over time is there. If you anything CGI within 5 years, it starts to look bad. But we can watch this movie right now and see, like, man, that still looks good. That still looks. The best way I can describe the guts and everything is juicy. Like, y'all, you feel me on that? Like, it's like,
Oh yeah, definitely.
yeah, like you can actually see yourself putting your hand in that and like, ugh, what the hell is this? But
Okay. Okay. Okay.
that's what I
What's
got to say
your
about it.
what's your rating? Your bulb rating?
Oh, I give it 5 bulbs all day. Matter of fact, I might watch it again tonight.
So you definitely think it's when it was released, you definitely think it was underrated.
I definitely it was. Even
I would
though
I would have to agree.
what again? What year did this come out?
80,
81 or 82, I think.
maybe
Yeah, this
82.
movie
Yeah.
and it's 41 years old, and we see movie this Ant-Man that was horrible.
Get me started.
We see movies this year that can't even compete with this.
Shameful.
If this movie came out, if this movie came out today, I guarantee it would just kill in the box office.
Yeah, I think so. I think so. I think the audience would be way more ready for it than they were in the 80s. But thanks for your breakdown, Demetrius, or Nintendo 83. I think that was excellent. So we're gonna move on. We're gonna go in reverse order. We're gonna move on to King 81. Give us your overall thoughts and then your rating. Your rating.
Definitely got to say the practical effects and the sound and just the cuts in the scenes whenever it came time for the gory stuff, man. I mean, I just remember seeing this when I was little, and it's like, you know, kind of inching away from the TV and like sometimes putting my hands over my ears because it made you feel like, whoa, hold up, this ain't right, and it's like I want to look away, but then you're just so interested in it, just how the sound effects, it grabbed you and it made you, um, you know, feel the intensity that was going on, man. Like all the stuff, especially with that. I'm sure that was my favorite scene right there as well too. What I mean, just with the head turned to a spider and how my man arms, got eaten off by the thing, man, and it was just the sound too, kind of
Like I,
just built
like
up
I
that
said,
tension and like what's going on.
it sounded juicy, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. but but no, I mean, kind of looking at it a little bit now. I mean, the acting is still on point there for me, but it's just some scenes. I guess it's just what was going on back then, just some of the lines that were said. But I mean, the gore and all that stuff really made up for that. And I was like, yo, because even now, even hearing it now, I'm like, oh man, I remember like that. And I just remember me just kind of turning away, but still wanting to look, and would be having nightmares. I mean, I would, I'll be have to go to the bathroom at nighttime. It just would be like, I'm just gonna hold it to the morning time, daylight, because I ain't walking out here. Not here now, man. But I'll give it 4 lucid bulbs.
Wait. So let me get this straight. Let me get this straight. How many bulbs did you give Ant-Man? You give it like 2.5.
Oh no. Yeah. Two
I
and a
mean,
half.
but
This
you
is
have
4.
a classic.
It is, man, but it's just. I guess it's some of the. I want to say, I guess it's like the '80s type
Because
acting in
what
some
gets me
kind of.
is I enjoy the acting more in this movie than I did Ant-Man. The acting there was horrible.
But I gave Ant-Man like 2.5. No, I think maybe just 2. This is a 4. This is a 4.
It's all right,
You know
Orlando,
what?
man.
You know what?
Orlando,
4.5.
it's all right, man. We understand.
4.5.
Orlando, I understand, man. You're gonna go home and cut off the light tonight because you know that scene kind of scared you. I
Yeah,
understand.
man. I needed a time out after that, man. I was like, whoa, hold on. I had to hold up. I mean, it's just, it really had me thinking like I could turn around the corner and see something like that. I mean, like, and then the way how the heads and stuff was coming off and stuff, and you seen the juiciness, man. Come on, now that's like, I mean, the audience it wasn't ready for that, man. But like even like now, it's just on point. Just going back to them practical effects, where it's like you really like looking, and just the lighting and everything, man. It kept it right. Looking to me, it didn't look fake. I mean, it was real believable.
All right. Okay, Johnny Mozzarella. Give us your overall thoughts and then your rating.
I don't know, the first thing that comes to mind when I think of the thing, I think the first time I seen it, I was so young. I don't even think I could fully grasp what I was watching when I first watched it. It was just like a scary movie. It wasn't until I got a little older, maybe like high school, maybe a little out of high school, when I rewatched it again, and I could really appreciate the genius that the thing was. Like, it was way before its time. Well, I don't know. Maybe not quite before its time, because I generally think 80s movies are written better. I think the scripts are better in the 80s or even the early 90s. I just think the screenwriting back then far superior to today. And I mean, and it kind of proves it. Like Ant-Man, I think kind of proves it. Like it's not even a question. So I don't even think it's really ahead of its time. Like you said, I think it had a lot to do with the world, not just the U.S., but the world being kind of like in a recession. So, but when you watch this movie,
Yo, John.
I think it's
Yo, John. Can you do me a favor? Once you finish, could you try to go into your settings and turn your mic down a little bit? You're coming in a little loud, but I just wanted to let you know that. But continue for right now. Yeah.
how do I sound now? Better?
Say it again, or say something again.
Am I still too loud now?
Turn down a little bit more.
How about now?
A little bit more.
Holy cow. That's at like 23 right now.
Okay, back up.
Okay. I'm going to go back to 20.
Okay, yeah, that's good. All right.
But the first thing I think of when I think of this movie is it's the perfect blend between horror and science fiction. And there's not really a whole lot of movies that can bring both of those parts in, gel it all together and make a good movie. And the thing is, to me, is like the perfect example of that. This is 5 bulbs. Like there is no question. I mean, no offense, Orlando. I get it, but this is 5 bulbs. This is 5 Lucent bulbs, and it's not really even a debate. I mean, it hits every category, like everything: acting, the writing, the special effects, the story. I know some of the reviews said that they thought that the story moved a little too quickly, but I actually didn't have a problem with the pacing. I thought it moved us right along at the right time. So I just totally disagree with everyone from that time period. It was a masterpiece, but it is good that they finally did come back around and be like, okay, well, hold up, yeah, we screwed this one up. Like this is definitely one of the greatest films ever made. But 5 Lucent bulbs.
All right. Okay, next we have DJ Dave Darko. Give us your take and your bulbs.
As much as I like to disagree with you guys, I've got to give this movie its props, man. I'd liked it when it came out when I saw it as a kid, and then I rewatched it not long ago, and it's still on the level, man. When you said that this was a movie that was underrated, I was like, I thought this was a classic. I had no idea that it didn't do well when it came out. So definitely, I would have to give this at least 4 bucks. You're concerned about the characters and how they're going to get out of there. They put you in the situation where you watch the movie, you're scared. You know, like Demetrius said, if they redid this movie now and use CG, they could only go backwards. You can't improve on something like this. So I agree. I'll give it 4 at least.
Okay. I think you and Orlando are giving it too low, man. I think this movie and Alien redefined the horror genres. And John talked about how perfectly melding science fiction and horror. I think movies like Alien and The Thing do it almost flawlessly. And I would have to say that when it comes to cinematography, that John Carpenter and whoever he gets to help him with the cinematography, whoever he hires as a cinematographer, man, they have an eye for it, because there's some shots in this movie, man. Like, I don't know if you guys noticed, but in the clip that Demetrius picked, right? It's subtle, but you can tell Carpenter, he has a classic way of directing that I think is lost today because of all the CG crap and everything they can do with modern cameras and stuff. And it's almost Hitchcocky in the way he directs certain scenes, because there's the one scene where you see Kurt Russell when he has his fire blowtorch thing, right? The what's it called? What else is it? Flamethrower. Yeah, the flamethrower.
Yeah.
And he has it, and he's threatening them. In the left hand side of the screen, you see a hand, and it's the dude that likes the dogs. And in his hand, there's a scalpel. So he's setting up tension, not just with Kurt Russell threatening him and keeping him at bay with the flamethrower, but he's showing you without telling you, without putting it in the script, or without showing the man's face, look, he's getting ready to pounce on this guy with this scalpel as soon as he gets a chance. And he does later on. He pays off on it later on after the crazy thing, the guy gets his hands cut off. So the point I'm trying to make is that, I don't think this movie had to have like these great lines. It didn't need it. You needed simple lines, simple characters. These characters, man, they're some of them are scientists, some of them are pilots, some of them are, the one black guy was a cook. I don't even know what Childs did. Keith Davis' character. I don't know what his position was in the outpost in Alaska. But the point is that this movie was driven by mood and the overall story. And I think that's more important than having, for this type of film. I don't think you don't need Quentin Tarantino level dialogue. So when some of the critics are talking about it, they didn't get it. I don't think they understood what the film was. You know what I'm saying? Even the acting, King 81, I have to say, there's no Oscar-winning performances, but these guys did what they needed to do, and like the one guy said, it's all the characters seem the same. I was like, I totally disagree. There's one character, I can't remember his name, but he always wore the biker thing, the biker vest.
Bandana.
No, he wore a vest, the biker vest. I can't remember what his name was in the movie, but there's another character named Windows, right? And Windows is kind of like the scrawny, type of Weasley type of character. And there's this one scene where the guy that wears the biker vest, Kurt Russell is telling him, hey, you need to team up with Weeks. I'm going to team up with this person. I'm going to team up. We're going to go in twos. We're going to go find this other person. And he was like, Weeks? I'm not going with Weeks. I'm not going with Weeks. And then they just all start arguing because no one wants to go with Weeks. That's good writing, because it shows you that, okay, you don't have to have all these witty dialogue. He just, the way he expressed saying the man's name was perfect enough to show you, okay, look, I don't trust this guy. He might be one of these things. I don't want to go with it's a good, overall it's good, and I'm going to give my final rating so we can move on, because I could go on for days about this movie and the different things I like. But look, guys, there's only one other movie we gave a legendary rating, and John wasn't there for that podcast, and that was Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. I think it's 6 bulbs. This is a legendary. This is a classic. You can't.
Whoa. You say how many?
6.
Whoa. Is there even
Boy.
6?
It is.
Yeah,
legendary.
6
is
is high.
It's legendary.
It is legendary.
6 is legendary level.
DJ Dave Darko said it. You can't remake this movie. You can't remake it and make it better. There's only one scene in this entire movie when I rewatched it last night, and I watched it in HD, right? Only one scene in this movie that I don't think held up, and it was the scene where they went to go see the UFO stuck in the ice. And the only reason why it didn't hold up is because it was a matte painting. Now, matte paintings can still hold up in modern times, but because it was a matte painting done for the resolution of that it was going to be seen at that time, when you see it in HD, okay, I can see the paint strokes. You know what I'm saying? But even then, I still kind of liked it because it kind of gave it a classic B-movie type of feel. It still worked. It's just, okay, I can tell it's a matte painting. That was the only thing that didn't hold up. But I think this is a legendary movie, guys. I don't think you get much better than this when it comes to true horror, true Lovecraftian horror, I should say. You know, there's only one movie, only a few movies come close, and one of the movies is actually my pick for this show. But anyway, I'm going to move on. And
I'm about to say we would discuss that legendary rating later because I still think Alien. I think Alien is up there with The Thing.
But I would give Alien a legendary rating too.
Okay, well,
You gotta give Alien a legendary.
Yeah, I would give it. I mean, again, I don't think you
fight if you didn't.
I don't think you can get much better than the first 2 Alien movies. All the other Alien movies after that suck. You know what I'm saying? And they were classics. They're classics in what they brought to the table. So anyway, let's move on to the next one. The next